Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back.
We're back.
Back and both taking a sip at the same time.
Drinking our Aldi beer.
Cool Vista. It does just taste like a Yingling. Good though.
It does, yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, so we're back on the podcast.
Another episode.
Another day, another podcast.
Another day, another 2 episodes of Avatar watched.
That's right. We both did our homework. Some did it
earlier than others.
More recently. Day of. Fresh in my mind. How you doing? How's your week been?
It's been good. Past couple weeks been good.
Yeah.
Just been working, and I was sick 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Since the last time we recorded. And so, well, I mean, since I was sick, I didn't do anything but just sit and play video games and watch TV and read. I mean, and take care of my child. But
right.
She was also sick, so I had to deal with that. But
that's annoying.
Yeah, it's just like, it is what it is, I guess. How dare she get sick when I'm sick too?
Right.
Like, come on.
It's like, who's this about?
I wonder who gave it to who. I probably gave it to her. But yeah, so I've just was chilling that whole week. I read an entire book. I think I mentioned the last episode, but I had started reading Red Rising.
Okay.
I think I mentioned it last episode.
If I
didn't, I started reading Red Rising. I ended up really enjoying it, and I finished it in like a couple days.
Nice.
It ended up being really good, way different than I thought it was going to be. Like, it went a completely different route than I kind of thought.
Yeah.
It almost kind of went like a Hunger Games / Percy Jackson route, but like a little bit more mature.
Okay.
For like it's not necessarily like, I wouldn't consider it necessarily a YA novel. It's a little bit more mature themes. Now I'm curious to see what they're going to do for the rest of the books, because I don't want to spoil anything, but just the way they went about it, because the book's about this guy that's basically like the society is separated into colors.
Uh-huh.
And you do learn that there actually are physical differences between some of the colors. Like, some are stronger and smarter, technically. But it's about one of the lower colors. He's a red, and he's basically infiltrating the highest society, which is gold. Okay. And how I initially thought the book was going to go is it was going to be a rebellion. He was just going to make people rise up and start attacking, like a regular old revolutionary type book. But instead, he's actually like super intelligent and very strategically smart. And he is basically going to actually infiltrate the golds. Okay. Become one of them, and then do everything from the inside out. Okay. Which is an interesting way to go about it. Yeah. And there's obviously a lot more involved there, but.
And so, like, that was something that just, as you were reading, it was like you thought it was going to go
a different way. Yeah.
Kind of the classic, like, uprising.
And then this first book doesn't even necessarily deal with any of that, because he has to go to like a school, like an academy thing.
Oh, okay. To like become part of the golds or whatever.
To like become part of the higher society of the golds, or like not the higher society, but like the like admirals or like governors, basically, or get put into the school to see if they are worthy enough or have the ability to.
So you can like kind of there's a
hierarchy even to the golds,
but there's a way, like if you're like a different class, you can test into higher classes. Oh, okay.
No, so he is a red, but there's a way, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a way where he basically gets they call it carving, but he's basically carved into a gold, and which means he's like got things implanted, he's got different things. He basically changes his entire physique. Okay. He looks like a completely different person, because even the like color wise, like their hair and eyes will match that color. Like, as a red, he had red eyes and red hair. As a gold, they have like gold blondish hair, then gold yellow eyes. Okay. So stuff like that has to change. Right. It's interesting.
I like that kind of story.
I highly recommend giving it a read. Yeah. It's like I said, it just changed the way I thought it was going to go, and I'm really excited to read the next few books. I'm not picking up the second one yet, because I'm trying to get. I'm also reading Words of Radiance now. Right. Because I did finish Way of Kings.
How far into Words of Radiance are you?
Maybe 100 pages.
Okay.
The boat just sank.
Okay.
I just read that chapter.
Spoilers, there's a boat that sinks. If you haven't read it.
And it's a fantasy book. You can probably assume that
It's a fantasy boat.
Sinks at one point.
Fantasy boat sinks.
But I'm trying to get a little bit further to read this before I start the next book. So I feel that it's going to end up dragging me in like the first one did.
I wonder how many books it is.
There's like a trilogy, and then I think there's like a couple more that have been made too.
Okay.
Like I think it started off as a trilogy, then it ended up growing to more. I think because people keep referencing it as the Red Rising trilogy.
Okay.
But there's like 4 or 5, or like there's like 5 or 6 books in it, and I think there's another one being made. So, but yeah,
maybe there's a Wax and Wayne series.
I don't know, it's like more eras. Yeah. Speaking of, my brother started Mistborn.
Okay.
He says he's liking it so far.
Has he said much?
Not much. He hasn't gotten super far into it.
I like this Kelsier guy.
He did. He was like, I think Kelsier's cool. He listens to this podcast, so it's no spoilers.
I didn't say anything.
Kelsier is great.
He is great.
He's a great character.
He is great.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how as he reads that, how he likes it in the magic system, and I hope this helps him kick off into wanting to read the rest of Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah,
because he liked Way of Kings, because he did read a little bit of it.
Yeah,
and understandably so, especially for someone he doesn't read all the time like you or I do.
Yeah,
it's very daunting, and Way of Kings is a little bit slower of a burn.
It is. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of world building and character development, and which is great. And even my brother said it's what I've read is really good, but sometimes it's a little bit slower. So it's harder for me to like stay into it. But I think if he reads Mistborn, which is definitely a little bit faster paced and smaller, he's going to get so invested in the way Sanderson writes and his stories that he's going to want to end up reading Way of Kings. I hope. So we'll see.
I think so. I think if you get through a trilogy, like you get through the Mistborn trilogy, then you'll be pretty much one way or another. You'll get there.
Or you can just be like me and just start with Stormlight.
That's what I did, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I actually finished Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2.
Congrats.
Finished both of them. Finished Dark Souls 2 the other night.
Nice.
Those games have...
Which one is better?
1 is objectively a better game, but 2 feels better to play because it's a little bit newer. But...
Which one is darker?
Dark Souls 1.
Darker Souls.
Definitely just more
harder to see.
Not harder to see, but there's a whole area that literally has I could show you a video later. It's hilarious. There's an area where there is literally pitch black, and there are just giant skeleton monsters that are around. And you can have a lantern that'll, if you light it up, will have like a little circle around you that lights up. But there's I'll show you the video when we take a break or whatever. It's hilarious of when I was playing it. But Dark Souls 1 is definitely objectively better. Story is better. The way the map interconnects is way better. Dark Souls 2 dropped the ball on the way their map connects. There is literally an area, it's like a running joke, where you go to this, I think it's like the Earthen Peak is what this one area is called, and you finish the final boss and you take an elevator up, and the elevator takes you up to a lava kingdom where you would think would be at the very bottom, but it takes you up, and also you open up and you're surrounded by lava and like a giant castle of the old Iron King, and you're like, how is...
What's the nature of this planet?
Yeah. But it's good. They're just different. Dark Souls 1 is definitely more, it's a little bit slower paced. It's more like, I heard it described in a video the other day. Dark Souls 1 is very, almost like you can see it as like a turn-based combat type of game. It's not turn-based combat at all. But the way you can think about some of the boss fights and encounters is like you wait for them to attack, and then you wait for an opening, and then you attack, and then vice versa, Whereas Dark Souls 2 and 3, and they are like that, but they're more faster pace. You can't necessarily, like Dark Souls 1, you can pretty much run through the whole game wearing or using a shield and blocking everything. You can't really do that in Dark Souls 2. I mean, you probably could, but it'd be difficult. Like, you really have to utilize your roll. Dark Souls 1 can parry easier. The parrying times are easier. I beat the whole game pretty much parrying. Where Dark Souls 2 is a little bit, I just couldn't get the timing right, so I just stuck to rolling. But I am trying to play through all of them the same way. I'm playing it with one of the ultra great swords. Okay. And then pyromancy. And it's been very fun. I do a lot of damage. So, but yeah, Dark Souls 2 is good. It's just hard and longer. I think Dark Souls 2 is the longest with all their DLC. Okay. And the DLC bosses were difficult. They definitely got me hung up. But those games just seem easier now that I'm older.
Yeah.
And probably because I've played Bloodborne and like Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, which are definitely faster paced than those games are. So we'll see. I started Dark Souls 3 last night because
Have you played that one before?
I've played like a quarter of it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I've only ever beaten Dark Souls 2, so I've played halfway through Dark Souls 1 and then got frustrated and stopped until now. I've finally beat it. Actually, I got to the pitch black area and then gave up because I was like, this is annoying. And then Dark Souls 2 I've beaten, but I never beat the DLC. But now I've gone and I've beaten this. Now it's Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 definitely plays really, really well. It just runs really good. It just... I have a feeling out of the... Huh?
Like graphically, I'd imagine it.
Graphically, it's better. The combat's different. Like the way... Or the combat just feels better. Like you can combo things together easier. Whereas like Dark Souls 1, like you swing a sword and you have like 2 animations. Like a swipe and then a swipe back. And then like a heavy attack's a little bit different. And that's about it. Dark Souls 2 kind of expand on that. Dark Souls 3, like you actually get like a multiple combo attacks with certain weapons. And then they have what's called weapon arts. Which are like certain weapons will do different attacks or different spell type things. So it just, it feels better. I have a feeling out of the 3, Dark Souls 3 probably my favorite. But
nice.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Cool.
I did start Jedi Survivor again.
Okay.
Restarted it. I'm going to play through it and actually beat
it. I
it.
really like that game a lot. I'll be interested to if you are able to stick with it.
I will, and I liked it the first time. I don't remember why I stopped. Why did I stop?
Was your computer having trouble running it? Because there was
my computer was at the time having trouble running it when I was really playing it, and I think that game came out that I really
you got into another game.
I like fell in love with this other game. What was it though?
Yeah,
can't remember what it was. But I enjoyed Survivor. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm enjoying it again playing it.
And you haven't. How far did you get?
I got decently far. I beat.
Were there any big twists?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I know of. I think I had.
Not that there will be.
I think I had beaten the big guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a fun man. That was.
Yeah, I think that was where I kind of finished. Stopped playing this then. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
That's a decent way in. That's like maybe halfway or something.
Yeah, I'm really excited to keep playing though and play it again.
Yeah. Cool.
What have you been up to?
Well, I've been playing a lot of Helldivers too.
Yes.
I've been playing with you guys, been playing by myself.
Spreading that democracy in your free time.
Yeah, I play, with random people. I play solo missions. I just really have fun with the varied experience you can have with it from mission to mission, and just kind of also just like challenging yourself a little bit. Trying to do stuff, missions on your own, can be fun to just see if you can do it. Mm-hmm. You have to play more stealthy and avoid encounters more and stuff, which I prefer actually.
Yeah.
It's like, but because of the weapons I like to take, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that, and seeing the way they're doing their story and rolling out different things. Like you had the automatons get wiped off the map, and then somehow they returned, and then they had like added different kinds of missions and stuff based on that, that were interesting. A lot of fun.
I do like the way that they're going about that game, where it's like it's a live service game and things change, but even though things are like progressing in the world technically, it doesn't feel like you're necessarily missing out on anything. Even like the major orders. If you log in for a major order and play for an hour and then get off, next you hop back on, if the major order got completed by the community, you get those credits.
Right.
Which is wonderful because it means I don't have... It's perfect for people like you or I who are parents and don't have all the time to play, where we can jump on for a couple hours, but we don't have to feel like we have to grind things out. Right.
And it makes you feel like you're involved in what's happening in the community, even if you weren't, doing 10 missions a day or a week or whatever, it's like, okay, I was a part of that, and you have something to show for it too, with the medals and everything. I actually just unlocked my first premium war bond.
Nice.
So I was like 9. I was really close to unlocking it, like having earned
Earn them all. Yeah.
that whatever I have that current. I forget what that currency's called. But super credits, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, so I had like 900 and something super credits. So I just needed like the $1.99. It was like 150 more credits, which put me over the top. So I unlocked one of the premium war bonds to get this.
And that was even after you've bought some armor, right?
No, I haven't bought any.
You haven't bought anything.
I mean, I've used the medals to get armor.
Like you've used super credits. That's what I'm saying. Like you used the super credits.
Oh yeah. I did use some super credits to. Yeah, I have used super credits and then I stopped because.
So technically, you could have like if you.
I would have gotten.
You
it
easily
sooner.
could have gotten it for free.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely. Because I definitely have spent at least like 300, 400 super credits that I had already earned in the game.
See, I love. That's the other thing I really like about it is like if you play, and I haven't even played a lot, but I'm at 9. I think I'm at 900 right now. And I haven't even played that long, and I'm already able to almost get one of the payable battle pass thingies, which is like that's how you do it.
Yeah,
allow people to get it if they could pay if they want, but allow them to get it for free. That way they don't feel like they have to pay.
Right,
and it's not even that grindy either.
Yeah, it's a good system because the people that are gonna pay are gonna pay anyway, and the people that would just get turned off by it actually have a chance to like just get there on their own without having to pay. So it doesn't there's like no real negative aspect to their like store system.
And even then it makes you feel like it almost makes you feel like I'd be more willing to pay them for like a couple of the credits too.
Right.
Because it's like I feel like they're not just being shady. Like I can get it on my own pretty easily if I want, but maybe I just want to throw it down $5, you know.
Right. It feels more they're a big company, but they're not like the AAA publishers, you know, and so that also makes it feel different, you know, when you're because you feel like you're supporting this kind of ragtag group that just went out and made a
good game.
Like a I mean, it's like in my opinion, I think we'll see it's going to be almost like a PUBG kind of thing. You know, it's going to be a game that kind of people are going to be looking at and trying to like capture that. In fact, I think I saw supposedly there was a Halo game that was almost going to be like this. And so there was talk about Halo Infinite coming out with some game type that was going to be somewhat similar. I don't know how they would replicate it, but like I just remember whenever like PUBG came out, all of a sudden all these games like Call of Duty and stuff had their battle royale versions and stuff. So I just feel like you're going to see that with you know, other games are going to try to capture that market, you know, that people are enjoying this kind of play experience and everything. Yeah. But yeah, so it's been a lot of fun doing that, but it's also like I haven't been felt this way about a game in a long time, where it's like when I have time, it's like I'm just like I could just jump on Helldivers, but it's like, yeah, but I also would like to like write. I'd also like to read. You know, there's like other things I could be doing. So that's something that I've been having to try and adjust a little bit and not completely, you know, just get utterly sucked in. But
that's something I struggle with a lot. So like I want to read or I want to draw, but I'm like, but Dark Souls. Right. Or like at the time it was World of Warcraft. I was like, I can just play World of Warcraft. Yeah. And so then I don't end up doing I'm having a hard time managing my time properly.
But I have been writing. Not the pace that would be ideal, but I've been working on the new project a good bit.
Very nice.
And then I don't know. I was actually rereading some of my book today, and I was like, and it was making me want to switch back to editing it. I was like, I want to finish this. Do both? And I don't know why I do this, but yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of frustrated that I have these cycles of like, you know, being really enthusiastic about something and getting a good way into it, and then being like, oh, shiny thing over here, like new project, or now I'm like old project. Well, that's kind of what happened with this book. This new project is I had started writing it, and then I was like, no, I'm just going to edit my book. And then I started reading the new project, and I was like, I really like these 6,000 words. Yeah. And so I was like, I want to try and just finish this, and it'll be a shorter book, you know, like a novella. And then, you know, I've gotten a good ways into it, but then now I'm like looking at the book and I'm like,
Ooh,
I
you
really
look
like
good.
the book. I love this. I want more people to read this. Anyway, so
It's a struggle.
but the struggle's real.
The eternal struggle.
Yes. If I just keep ping ponging, eventually I'll finish one of them, right?
Well, both of them will eventually get finished. You just keep
Hopefully,
ping-ponging.
unless I start third project.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
I actually had a dream.
That
I had this dream. It was like a sci-fi story, and when I woke up, it was so vivid, and it had like a good progression of the story. So I like recorded myself on the way to work talking about it, so that I could remember it if I wanted to come and work on it.
Third story is already
third
in.
project.
It's already in.
I'm like Shalon with all her personalities, but anyway,
I had the same problem with all my my drawing.
right?
I'll start drawing and I'm like, ooh, I want to draw something else.
Formless.
Then I'll
Third person.
The struggle is real.
But yeah, so that's me. I think that's all I have.
Nice.
So, but yeah, we're gonna get into Avatar: The Last Airbender now.
The live action
3 and 4, the live action Netflix show, not the cartoon, not the OG canon.
Did you ever watch Korra? No, you never watched. You never even fully.
My little sister watched Legend of Korra, and I've seen some of it, but I didn't watch it.
I've never seen it.
You haven't?
Mm-mm.
I heard it was pretty good, not as good as Avatar, and then there was some things that people didn't like about the ending of it, but I don't really know. But I'll probably end up watching it after I finish the cartoon, the original cartoon. What was I'm just trying to look up name of the episode.
One of them was Into the Dark.
That was the second one. That was 4. I remember that one.
Oh, Oshimaru. Omisha. I can't remember the name of this.
Try again.
Omisharu. Oshimaru.
Yeah, close. Keep going. You're close.
Ashimaru. Is that it?
Notice I'm not trying. I'm like not willing to give it a shot. It is Omashu.
I was in a very similar ballpark.
You had like an extra syllable.
I did.
In there. Omashu.
Omishu? Is that what you said?
It's Omashu. Omashu, yeah. So you got Omashu was episode 3. So any first impressions on Omashu, episode 3?
I very much enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
This is the one where Aang gets captured, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I really liked the fight scene between Aang and Zuko in this one.
Yeah.
It felt very reminiscent of an old-timey martial arts.
It did.
Like Jackie Chan type fighting. It felt really cool. It was cool to do where like Zuko couldn't use his firebending.
Yeah.
And to show that he's still pretty skilled.
Yes.
This was definitely the first episode that felt a little bit more like the cartoon. Like it felt kind of Nickelodeon-y.
Uh-huh.
Not in a bad way.
Okay.
But I very much enjoyed this episode, yeah. Okay. I enjoyed both these episodes, but we'll stick with the first one for right now. What about you? First impressions?
I liked it. There was a lot going on.
There were
like a lot of maybe I'm thinking episode 4. I feel like episode 4 was actually like an adaptation of multiple episodes. I recognized, like, as far as like from the cartoon, I recognized like Jet.
I don't remember Jet
the rebels
being
in
Omashu.
No, he wasn't. That
was in a different area.
It was a different episode.
Okay.
They were like combining stuff.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I remember Jet and his band, but I don't remember him being in Omashu.
So,
and I remember the engineer as well. Was he in Omashu?
Yeah, that's the one that I don't know if I've gotten to that episode yet, because I was like, this is probably another episode that they're pulling these characters from.
Yeah, those are definitely characters. I just don't think they're in Omashu.
And then I remember the Omashu episode as well, which the majority of that storyline is in episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel a little bit like maybe it just felt a little hard to like just because it seemed like there was a lot going on, you know. I mean, my first thought, I mean, like the episode starts off with Azula being introduced.
We got introduced to Azula,
and I thought that was a cool introduction, like for her character. Like the actress was really good.
Her actress did a good job, and the show did a good job of really portraying who Azula is and how she is. I mean, just heartless.
I don't think I've met her in the show yet.
She is a really cool character in the show. Heartless.
Yeah.
Actor they picked for Jet was really good.
Yeah, he was.
I feel like they did a really good job with that. I like that they gave him all of his swords, and they kept it pretty 1-for-1 Jet at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if the story is the same because obviously he's not no Mashu. That's different. I don't know if what else changed, but
yeah,
I do know that he is more of like an anti-hero type from what I remember.
Yeah, he was in the cartoon. I mean, it was a little bit more because they changed the location and they made it about this what's going on in the Mashu, the Earth Kingdom, this Earth Kingdom city, and then also I don't know, they're just trying to tie it in with it being related to these attacks happening in the city is what's happening in the show, the live action show. Whereas in the cartoon, that storyline was more. It was a little more sinister. Like there was a little less, because like you were led to believe that these are bad Fire Nation people, but actually it was just this is a Fire Nation city that they were right next to.
Okay,
and he wanted to like completely wash it away, like break a dam or something.
Thanks. That is a little bit more.
So it was kind of like that was a humanizing episode for the Fire Nation, like the Fire Nation, like civilians. So just show like, hey, there's Fire Nation. They're not just all like Nazis or whatever, that need to be exterminated, which is kind of like how he viewed them. I mean, they got that across in the episode. Yeah. But he also had like there was actually.
But the way they did in the episode too, though, not to cut you off.
Go ahead, yeah.
It also it almost made Jet seem worse because it wasn't like, at least in the cartoon, it sounds like it was against Fire Nation civilians. Yeah, this is Earth.
That's true. Yeah,
the Earth Nation.
Yeah, they were in the Earth Nation, and
like this is just regular old. These aren't even part of the bad faction, and he's still willing to just blow them all up. And it's one of those things where the ends justify the means is his viewpoint, and it's obviously not of the right one.
But there was, and at the same time there was some justification there. I thought it was interesting how the whole thing with it was an interesting dynamic in this episode because in the cartoon it was mainly a learning experience for Katara because she was being a little naive, trusting too quickly, and getting because she was so passionate. Passionately getting involved in this too quickly, whereas in the show she's getting too involved and too invested too quickly, but also there's something similar happening with Sokka, and so that was interesting to pit those situations against each other because there's something like legitimately going on. They're both kind of making mistakes. Sokka is not too trusting, but he just doesn't. He's so quick to defend this guy and dismiss Katara, Yeah. What do you think of Katara and Sokka in this episode and their storylines?
More so in the next episode, but I really thought they had a really good character. They had pretty good character development between their relationship in particular. Yeah. Being willing to trust each other more and to appreciate each other's abilities more. Obviously, the first episode seems to be setting it because this episode was kind of split like a two-parter. Yeah, right. And the first episode definitely has them more continuing to butt heads, and Sokka seeing her as just this young girl and this little sister and yada yada yada. And the next episode is where you definitely see them kind of come closer. We'll talk about it when we get there, but their relationship definitely came together in the next episode. And it felt I liked that. That was good character development for their relationship. Yeah.
I mean, I liked seeing Sokka his character kind of got a new dimension with the whole like engineering aspect of it, that he has this hobby. He just has fun like puzzling out how to make things work and stuff. And this guy's encouraging him to actually pursue that. Like, your identity doesn't just have to be completely, like, your identity doesn't have to be completely wrapped up in
being a warrior.
And so it was cool to see that from him. I thought that him and Sai, or
I think it was Sai.
Those two, I liked their relationship in the episode.
Yeah, I liked
a good bit.
I definitely liked Sokka's. I think out of everyone, I liked Sokka's. Well, everyone and Zuko. Zuko and Sokka. I feel like in these two episodes had some of the best character development or character portrayal. I really like the dichotomy that Sokka was having there with being told by his father that he's the warrior, he's got to take care of his family, and the other guy saying, basically, like, this world has enough warriors. We also need smart thinking people, basically, and engineers. And, Sokka obviously feeling pride that someone's being like, you should be an engineer.
Right.
And then probably, and him kind of learning, and it's probably, I think he learns throughout the show, the cartoon, I don't remember, but then I'm sure I learned through this is that he can do both, Right. You can be a warrior and protect your family, but also be smart and an engineer.
Yeah.
And a leader and, all that good stuff. And then we'll talk about Zuko. Zuko's character arc is really good in the second episode, I feel.
Yeah, I thought that Zuko and Iroh both had were extremely strong in the next episode.
Iroh was phenomenal in both these episodes. The actor he's really come into the character. Yeah.
I've been completely won over by him these last two episodes, the guy playing Iroh, and still, very impressed with Zuko, the guy playing Zuko. It's interesting to see what's developing with this commander, I forget his name, that's interested in undermining Zuko. It's like acting like he's helping him, but he's, we learn he's talking to someone we'll mention later. But I mean, Katara makes some strides in waterbending in this episode, which I thought was cool to see her do. Like, she's working on the water whip.
The bending we've seen in both these episodes were really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because, we got to see more earth bending, and I thought it seemed to me like the earth bending seems a little better.
It does.
Like, it's more fluid and
it looks good. I'm really excited for when they bring Toph into the show. I don't know if she's in this season or not, but it's already announced. Season 2 and 3 is already announced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, still on Netflix. So I was watching. But Toph, have you met her in the cartoon yet?
No.
So she basically is the one who teaches Aang earthbending.
Okay.
Have you ever seen her character? You know who she is?
I know who she is, yeah.
Because she's the blind girl.
And she's really good at earthbending. Right?
Yeah, she sees through the earth. Like, she feels the vibrations in the earth. That's how she moves around and sees, basically. Okay. And she's a phenomenal earthbender. She actually is the one who creates metal bending. Which you see later on the show. Spoilers. But I'm really excited to see her in the show and see the earthbending that she does and who they choose for her. Seeing all the earthbending makes me excited to see her. She was one of the best characters in the show. So that's exciting. And yeah, I liked Katara as being she's growing, getting better at the earthbend or the waterbending. I liked that moment with her and Jet where he's just stop focusing on the bad things and focus on the good. I still think her performance just falls flat most of the time, unfortunately. Yeah. I think it's just going to be a thing with her character for this season, which is fine. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I guess that's just what I just kind of came to just kind of see it as, okay, this is the Katara of the show.
And it's not bad. I don't want to say it because the actor's not necessarily bad.
Right. It's just not the way she was in the show cartoon. She just had a different energy.
The actor just seems to have a hard time portraying different emotions. Because even in the next episode when she gets a little, she blows up a little bit at times or gets angry or whatever, you don't really, her face doesn't really portray it.
Right.
Yeah, she raises her voice, but other than that, nothing else really. You don't see that emotion. Where all the other characters you do, Aang is really good. The actor who plays Aang, Zuko, is really good. Iroh is phenomenal at showing. Sometimes it's more important to show the emotion than to tell the emotion.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, or say it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this actress just seems to have a hard time with it, and it's fine. She's, I don't think she's doing a bad job at all. I don't think she's a bad actress. It's something that she probably needs to work on.
Yeah. So the end of this episode, unless there was anything you had, the end of this episode, is very much leading into the next one. And Iroh I'm trying to remember. I remember Iroh has a line about owing everything to Zuko.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it's in episode 4 or if it's episode. I can't remember, like, whenever he gives himself up, he basically gets, the attention on him so that Zuko can get away at the end of the episode because they're being surrounded by the Earth Nation soldiers. And, he does this, which was awesome to see him firebend because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it really showed how powerful he is too, I feel.
Yeah. But I can't remember, didn't he say something earlier in the episode about Zuko, or I forget.
I don't remember. I think in the beginning of the 4th episode is when he talks to Aang about the Zuko owing everything. I think.
Okay. So, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and finish, and we'll talk about episode 4. We're back from our little break.
Yay. Episode 4, Into the Dark.
Into the Dark.
That's what it was called.
In our souls.
This was a really good episode.
Yeah. Heavy
episode, specifically as it relates to Zuko and Iroh.
Yeah.
The stuff with Aang was good, but I had a really hard time with Boomy.
Okay.
They portrayed him well, but Boomy's just such a weird character to portray in live action, I feel. And the actor he just looked strange to me.
Well, it's a younger actor, like portraying an older person, so he's got like prosthetics and stuff. Yeah. But well, let's just do that. Let's talk about Boomy first, that storyline first, then, because that's we didn't really. Aang's story, in the last episode was kind of just about Katara, like it was just related. It wasn't, but this episode he does have a bigger story, and it is doing a version of the cartoon episode when he goes to Omashu and he has this friend that he remembers playing with, and he's a real goofball, and they would goof around, and then turns out he's now like the king of the city or the governor of the city, whatever. And so they do that in this show. Do you remember, like, did it feel like it was a good adaptation of that? Any problems you have with it?
I didn't. The tests and everything of the games, I thought it was a great adaptation, and the point was supposed to get across. Like the way it ended was it was heavy. I mean, it was very well done.
Yeah.
I think I just had a hard time with Boomy, just seeing him in live action is all. And that's just an inherent thing of cartoons. Sometimes it's hard to portray certain things in live action. And I feel like Boomy was just one of those characters with how silly he is in general. But the story got put across very well, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, so I saw somebody said this that I think may be fair. In the cartoon, Boomy is trying to, get him to think seriously about being the Avatar. But he is seeing him as, like, everything he's doing is about getting through to his friend. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like that came across as well in the show. It was more about, like, kind of holding him accountable in the show. Yeah. For not being there. Which, I mean, it was heavy. I mean, like, he's talking about, you're 100 years old, but you haven't lived 100 years. And
that was a good line.
You haven't seen all these things and stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember the cartoon. I didn't watch it too long ago because I was doing a rewatch and I only got like 6 episodes in. And I think I ended with that episode. Okay. But it's still been a bit, so I don't fully remember. But you're right about the live action one being. It does feel like he's trying to make him feel accountable for not being there. Yeah. Which is fair, and it definitely hit home at times. But at the same time, is like I also stood there being like, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, he's a kid, and he also. It wasn't his fault. It's not like he just stayed away. He was frozen in ice. Yeah. I
did feel it. I don't know if you did, but whenever you saw the tear going down Boomy's face, like I was like, he's seen some stuff. He's had to live through some things, and I think he's feeling he's feeling angry in kind of an irrational way. Yeah. Like he how whenever you're upset about something, you want to look for someone to blame. Yes. And here shows up the person that if he had been there, things could have been different. And so like I understand it from that perspective, but at the same time, like you're saying, like it was a freak accident. Like he didn't know. He was, at least according to the show, I don't know what in the cartoon, but in the show, it's like he was just going to clear his head, and there's this huge storm, and then he gets frozen by those avatar powers or whatever. So, but I mean, it wasn't terrible adaptation of that. It was cool seeing like that, like their fight was cool. Like
their fight was cool. The visuals were very good. It is funny watching Boomy fight both in live action and cartoon. So
yeah,
and I do feel I like I said, I like how it ended. I mean, because the whole part of the time too, Boomy is basically saying like you need to learn to do this alone. Like you need to learn to make the hard decisions on your own.
Right.
He's like basically just like I have for my city. Like his city, Omashu, is very isolated. They're not doing anything, right. And that's part of the point of Jet's whole thing too. In the earlier episode was that they are like doing some of these bombings not to harm the Earth people, but to kick them into action.
Yeah.
Because Omashu's been kind of like an isolationist type thing. They're one of the last Earth-bending kingdoms to still stand because they've been isolationist. And so Boomy's kind of saying that you need to learn to make the hard decisions like I have.
Right. To
do what's right for your people. And that brings up the whole point too, going back to Jet for a minute, of like, Jet's whole point was doing these bombings and then trying to blame the Earth Kingdom, or trying to blame the Fire Nation so the Earth Kingdom would step up.
Right.
At what point does that make you no better than the Fire Nation?
Right.
Jet doing all that, just something I thought of, but but that's Boomy's kind of big point too, is trying to force Aang into this position of you are alone. You're the one who's going to have to do this and you need to make these decisions. And yet Aang, and at the very end, during this whole process, Katara and Sokka are doing their whole thing, trying to basically find their way in. And then that's when their relationship grows, they apologize to each other and, all this good stuff. It was good little story development for them, character development, relationship stuff.
Yeah. There's a side thing, the minstrels in the cave.
Hilarious.
That had to be from something in the show, but
it's in the cartoon.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure those minstrels are in the cartoon.
Very funny.
Hilarious.
Like just random.
That story's in the cartoon too.
Okay.
The story of the lovers.
Well, it reminded me of, there's an episode where there's literally like this spirit beast that looks like the badger thing, badger mole. Mm-hmm. And then Aang goes into the spirit world and he has to whatever, figure it out. But I don't know if that's what they were doing, if it was a version of that.
I don't know. I just know that I do remember that story being a thing.
Of the lovers.
The lovers, yeah.
Okay.
But that's a cool character development for them. But that being said, when they get to the end and Aang is basically holding up these two boulders, which it's just funny. Like, who needs earthbending when you can just hold up two boulders with your airbending? But they make airbending look very much like the Force a lot of times. It's kind of funny. But that being said, and then Katara comes in. Really cool moment with Katara and Sokka and Aang right there, where Katara throws down her water, turns into ice.
Yeah.
Which she's progressing very fast.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. And then Sokka does his cool ice knee slide across the ice. That was some solid teamwork right there.
Yeah, kind of a visual representation that they're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, they're growing together. Yeah. And then, her yelling and then Boomy being saved and then Aang dropping the boulders and all that. And Boomy being like, no, you're missing the point. You're supposed to do this on your own. And Aang says,
yeah,
no, I'm going to do this with my friends. Like, that's how this is going to be done. And that kind of hits a point to Boomy. Like I said, very good way to end it. I thought it was like the point that they were trying to sell across, and I feel like it ended very well. They did very good with that. Also, I agree with you. Also, very important. Better agree with me.
Very important in the show. These 2 episodes. Lots of cabbages references.
Hilarious! I laughed so hard when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, I was wondering if they were gonna do it when I saw they were going to Mashu, and with Boomy and all that." And I was like, "Oh, they did it! They threw the cabbage guy in."
Yeah, and multiple times.
Multiple times.
Which those are the kinds of things that tell you they're fans of there are fans of the show are involved in this, and they're trying to do it. They're trying to do a faithful adaptation, so that's fun.
I love when shows, comics, anything just throws in random characters that are like, they come in pretty sure Couch Guy is like all throughout the cartoon, in different places, and I love when
he's like always in a different place.
place. And I love when people do that.
Yeah.
I like. I'm pretty sure the writer of One Piece and the artist, he puts a small panda in every single chapter
Okay.
somewhere. From what I recall, I think I just love when people do that. Just like little like small little things that throw in. Obviously, the cabbage guy's a little bit more overt, but
right.
Cabbages.
Well, so yeah, this episode was Zuko and Iroh. Definitely, I think the strongest thing
so far
in the show. Period. So far, I mean, there's been some strong moments, but
those two actors.
Tell me about like, let's kind of go through it a little bit, like what we learned about Iroh and Zuko in this episode.
Well, we got a couple flashbacks with Iroh for one.
Mm-hmm.
You learn in here that he's lost someone important to him. I think it's his son.
Yeah.
And he lost him during a siege of Ba Sing Se, which is like the major Earth Kingdom.
Mm.
I mean, you kind of learn why he is so, despite Zuko being kind of a jerk half the time, why he is so stands by Zuko so much. And it's, takes place during his son's funeral, and I don't remember exactly what is said or what happens, but Zuko basically stands by him and then ends up sitting next to him during it instead of leaving.
Yeah, well, yeah, Zuko, yeah, he had been given something.
A medal, basically.
Yeah, that was, belonged to Iroh's son, Lieutenant or something.
I think it was Lieutenant.
And he says, like, he never needed it because he was always so sure of himself. Basically, it's like compliments his son and says that, he gave it to me because he's such a strong person. Basically, he didn't need it to feel special, whatever, and then he gives it to Iroh, and which really moves Iroh. You see Iroh like have a tear go down, and everybody was, and that actually came right after this scene where this Earth Nation person. So he, Iroh in the episode 3 gave himself up
to save
Zuko. He's going to be sent to some mines or something. Well, he may never be seen again. And Zuko is like determined to go save him.
Which showed a lot about Zuko as a character too. Is he's not just some heartless bad guy. It's he is going to go. He's loyal and he's going to go after Iroh.
Yeah.
With an even bigger point, we'll just say real quick too, where he finds that when he gets into the prison, he finds out that the Avatar is also captured in there, and he can go get the Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he makes the decision. And you see, there's like that moment where he like thinks, but he makes a decision to go after Iroh, which says a lot about. Once again, just says a whole lot about Zuko, and it shows why he's such a good character in the show. There's so many more aspects to Zuko than just this bad guy who wants to capture the Avatar.
Well, and Iroh's compassion on Zuko, which he does because he's so patient with him. Mm-hmm. But when he says was it to Aang that he says that he's trying to get his life back.
Yeah, I think he says it to Aang.
Like he understands what's driving Zuko, and he defends him to Aang, and that was a really strong moment. I mean, he also says like, I owe everything to Zuko, which, I'm thinking about it. Like, I mean, the only thing I can think of, maybe you tell me if you think of something else, but with what we saw in the episode, what does he owe? How does he owe Zuko everything? Well, Zuko, Zuko's compassion that he showed in that moment, one of Iroh's darkest moments, must have meant so much to him, Well,
I mean, how I look at it is, I think Iroh, because it's mentioned that Iroh ended that 600-day siege after his son died.
Mm.
I mean, you take this man who is a general who is seen as ruthless. They call him, like the Earthbenders call him a butcher multiple times, and they're angry with him. And then all of a sudden his son dies and he ends this 600-day occupation or siege of this town or this city, kingdom or whatever. And he goes home and he's obviously depressed. I mean, you got to think realistically, like he's probably like beyond depressed.
Right.
Probably not thinking about living anymore.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, you got to think especially if like Iroh's, you're assuming his wife is not there anymore. All they had left with his son, and now his son's dead for this war that he's probably now being like, what is even the point of?
Right.
Which he kind of alludes to at times of like, why are we even fighting?
Like, we've got to make this worth it. you know.
And then now you have Zuko come in, says this about his son, and then I noticed it too. He takes that seat next to Iroh, and I think he kind of shows Iroh like though your wife and your son are not here, you don't really have, like, you're not alone. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Iroh, at the very end of the episode, it shows a flashback again of when Zuko is finally leaving to go on his journey to get the Avatar, and Iroh says, "Well, I'm gonna come with you," and Zuko says, "We may be gone until we find the Avatar, which who knows how long it'll be." And Iroh says, "I have everything I need here."
Yeah.
I mean, I think at that point, it's almost like Zuko has become a surrogate son for him.
Yeah, right.
And maybe like depending on how you look at things, you can see it as being unhealthy. He's focusing too much on Zuko and yada yada yada. But I don't, I think he's just at this point he sees that Zuko has been abandoned by his father.
Right.
Zuko needs a father figure, and Iroh, wants a son. And I think so. I think that's kind of what the Iroh is alluding to there, is he gave him back something to look for, look after, and to seek to protect and bring up, because Iroh was known in the show of constantly spouting out wisdom to Zuko and to the other characters. That's kind of what I got from that.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's really good. And I guess maybe going from being seen as this butcher and then now taking up a different identity by being like a mentor to Zuko, definitely gave him like a fresh start too, probably.
Yeah, because you see in the moments when he's a prisoner from the Earth, because when he's the prisoner on the wagon, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, there's an Earthbender there that you come to learn how to Sun and Ba Sing Se that ended up dying during the siege, and how they couldn't even find his remains because he was so burned alive. And he's obviously very angry, and he's blaming Iroh, and which is probably Iroh was the general, and it's probably his fault. And I think Iroh realizes that. But man, and this goes back to what I was saying about showing emotion. Because you can see in in the moments, especially when that Earthbender is talking, like Iroh is usually very calm and control. He seems to be in control of his emotions, but he does there is a moment where he seems like he's like getting angry.
Yeah, and
he's like got that like fury.
He's trying to.
But I think he's trying to taunt the guy.
Yeah,
or he's trying not taunt like in the way of like I'm trying to like haha, but like in a way of like
take it out on me.
Take it out on me. Do it like And then when he does it, this utter sadness falls on his face. You can just tell that Iroh genuinely seems to be upset with what has happened and what is done. And then it ends with, Zuko eventually finds them, frees them. You see a really cool action scene with Zuko and Iroh. I love seeing the chain, especially like half on fire or half that was so cool.
That was cool.
But then the guy said, they're at the end and the guy is on the ground and he's yelling at Iroh. He says, "Do it, kill me, end me, whatever, finish it." And Iroh just says, there's been enough killing, basically.
Enough dead to this war, yeah.
And that just really highlights Iroh's viewpoint on it all. Which is probably another reason why he joined Zuko too, is because he was just like, I don't have to be fighting in this army, in this war anymore. I can just follow my nephew.
Did you hear the music during the funeral scene when Zuko comes over and starts talking to him? There's this music that starts playing, and it plays. I'm trying to remember where else it plays. Maybe it plays a little bit when he's talking. I forget. There's two or three times where it plays, and it's like very emotional kind of moments for Iroh. And so there's a song in the cartoon called like "Leaves on the Vine" or something like that. And it's that song. Huh. Did you notice that?
It's like I said, it's been so long since I've watched the cartoon.
I haven't seen that episode in the cartoon, and I don't know if it's the same emotional beat. Like, I don't know if he's talking about his son dying when he sings that song, because he sings a song that's to that tune.
I know it's supposed to have a similar emotional. I don't know if it's the same story, but it's a similar emotional.
But that moved, just my awareness that is like an emotional moment in the show for Iroh's character that like people reference a lot, that like Avatar. Hearing that song, that tune come underneath those moments actually made them even more impactful. Like I was really feeling super emotions. But
yeah, I gotta say, if nothing else, this episode officially drew me into the show. I mean, I was already drawn in. I liked the other episodes, but if they didn't, this one would have pulled me in.
Yeah,
I think out of all four that we've watched so far, this one's been the best.
Yeah, I think you're
Really
right,
good
too.
emotional beats, really good acting, good, but also mixed in with some good action.
Mm.
You know, we got to see some more bending. Good character. Yeah, I mean, this episode in general is just really well done.
It set up some stuff for like Azula is work. Like I think I already alluded to this, but you find out at the end of episode 4, I think, that Azula is communicating with this commander that Zuko has been kind of like worming his way into helping Zuko, but clearly has ulterior motives. And he's like, we're in the big game now. He tells like one of his men, because Azula is like supporting him, and Azula's the daughter of the king. So, and she has her own like ambitions and everything. She doesn't want Zuko to be successful at coming home and being a hero and all this stuff.
Well, if he comes home too, he's the king.
Right.
When their dad dies, and she wants to rule.
Right.
Her whole thing, even the cartoon, is about power. She just wants power. She doesn't care how she gets it.
But that's really cool setup happening there that I'm looking forward to. And I really just felt, like when Zuko and Iroh were in the boat and you had that moment, like you referenced about, he kind of recognizes the choice he made in going after Iroh instead of, I was like, I feel like these two people are like almost the heart of the show right now.
I mean, they kind of, even in the cartoon, man, like once you get like the later, like the third season, not to spoil anything for you, but like Zuko in particular almost becomes like the main character.
Yeah.
Like I know Aang and like that whole group is the main character, and
right.
I don't know if it's a spoiler, but Zuko just joined the group.
Uh-huh.
Spoilers to anyone on the podcast who's never seen the cartoon. It's like 15 years old at this point. Come on, guys. But because like his character just. I mean, he is seen as like having some of the best character development in cartoon. Zuko does, and he does. He has like his character is like phenomenally done in the show.
I am very excited because the actor that's playing him is great.
Mm-hmm.
I think out of all the storylines, they've done the best at setting him up, setting his storyline up, and developing. He's got the great, Iroh's great. So I mean, I just think it's going to be great going forward, and I'm excited too because like we're at the midpoint of the season. So we have 4 more episodes. So I feel like it's going to pick up from here. So be cool to see.
I'm excited.
Yeah. But that'll be it for us.
I think that's it
this time. So we'll be back with more Avatar episodes and more of your favorite sci-fi and fantasy banter. So come back.
Banter.
And this has been a Bridge of Two podcast.
A far, far away bridge. Ba-ding.
Bum 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 bum.